Aaron Tuttle here for Ferguson Roof Systems. For 43 years, Ferguson Roof Systems has been protecting Oklahoma's homes and businesses with quality roofing services. Their goal was to be the most honest and dependable roofing company in the state, all while providing free services such as lifetime labor warranty and annual inspections. Well, mission accomplished with thousands of client testimonials, an A+ Better Business Bureau rating, and a 5-star rating on Google. Look, the weather gives you enough to worry about, so why worry about who to trust with your roof? Call Ferguson Roof Systems today or find out more at fergusonroofsystems.com.
Hey everyone, Meteorologist Aaron Tuttle back with you again. It is Friday. This is your lunchtime live weather update. We're taking it into the weekend and basically into next week to show you what's coming our way. And the last focus for, I don't know, good grief, almost a week now, has been the incoming Arctic blast along with potential for a little bit of winter weather. So the question, of course, is today. Each day we look at the new data and we see what the new trend is to see where it's going. And you know, when you get pretty far out, the odds of having a lot of error in there are pretty high. And then once we start to get within about a 7-day window, that error starts to get a lot smaller. And then once we're within about a 5-day window, you pretty much got it going on, so you know what's going to happen. So thanks for watching. Thanks for joining me. Liking and sharing this video. For you guys out there on Rumble, appreciate you tuning in. YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter, all the same. So I'm going to load up my own stream here in just a second so I can see some of your comments while we're doing this live. All right. So make sure you also tell your friends and family about AT's Weather and that they can get my weather app, AT's Weather to Go. You can track winter storms even on the app. It does do well for tornadoes, obviously, but it does do all weather. And it works 24/7, 365 all across the U.S. And on Facebook right now, I'll put the link if you're having trouble getting notified when I do go live. You can tap that little link and hit the manage messages to make sure you opt in, and I'll send you a notice on your instant messenger that I'm gone live. That way you don't miss it. All right, there currently, well, we've got situation. Well, we've got some clouds around, just kind of skirting through the state. It is chilly, man. It's 39 degrees. Now, of course, my little wind gauge is a little protected, sheltered, I would say, just from surrounding, neighboring houses and whatnot. So the wind's gonna be a little lighter here on my Tempest weather station. They're gonna be out in other areas which are not impacted with friction reducing forces. So we'll take a look at that here across the state. But needless to say, it is cold out there, and that's kind of a sign of some things to come. If we do look at the statewide temperatures, we are into, looks like most of the state, let's see, 40s. I think we did get almost out of the 30s everywhere. A couple exceptions up across the north and northwest, and like I said, we're just now getting 40 here in the metro as well. And those winds are gusting out of the northwest up around 20 to 30 to even 40 to 50 miles per hour up here in northwest Oklahoma. So if you're saying, did a cold front come in? Yeah. Can you feel it? So it continues to get progressively colder. That's a nasty day. When you factor in the wind with the air temperatures, wind chill values today are into the 30s and 20s. So you want to make sure you bundle up out there this afternoon. All right. Well, we do know the big cold is coming our way. If we look at the map in the overall the United States, the big purple continues to kind of infiltrate here little by little across the northern plains and the Rockies as we go through time. And the biggest, coldest, nastiest stuff will, of course, be stationed and anchored into Canada, thank goodness. But by the time we head into a Wednesday and a Thursday, the big kahuna comes on in. So that's where we got all these readings just bottoming out to the minus 30s, dipping all the way down into, looks like, just north of Colorado. And that'll be heading its way here in Oklahoma, of course, for Friday, Saturday. I'm in a Sunday. You can see how much of the country is still inundated with the cold stuff for the weekend for Christmas. Reinforcing shots continue to kind of pummel in across Canada, but we get a little bit of a break potentially. We'll see. It's a locked-in cold pattern, so we'll have some wild swings in here maybe. But overall, winter is here and it's not going anywhere. This takes you all the way to the first of the year. And you can see in general terms, we still have a lot more of those cold air masses to go. All right, so what we're going to do is zoom in here. We'll kind of give you some numbers, the latest that the models are showing. So for today, we'll be into the lower 40s to mid 40s across the state. As we head into your Saturday, back into the mid 40s. So again, kind of a chilly weekend, cold at night, of course, and then the daytime high, a little bit better for Sunday, close to 50 in some areas. All right, now next week. So like we said, I have a mini warm up here Monday afternoon, probably at some 50s and 60s across Oklahoma. And then the cold front comes in for Monday night into Tuesday. So that'll really cool us down for Tuesday. So Tuesday is going to be kind of a rude awakening. We top out probably in the 20s in some areas on Tuesday, so don't let that sneak up on you. Wednesday's not that much better. We'll probably get up around freezing or so across the state. So remember, pretty much other than Monday, cold all next week. Now the big cold stuff comes in probably late Wednesday. And remember, as I told you before, the models usually underestimate the arrival of the cold air, and so usually comes in about 6 hours, sometimes 12 hours earlier. This particular American model still has it coming in Thursday morning early. You can see falling temperatures during the day. There's into the teens across the state, and glancing of some single digits probably near the Kansas border on into Kansas. There's Thursday afternoon. Just a brutal day overall. And of course, we get really cold at night. By Friday morning of next week, we're to the single digits pretty much statewide. And in the afternoon, we're going to rebound you back into the teens. That's not much of a rebound, I know. And then on Saturday morning, same kind of deal, rinse and repeat. Lots of teens, some single digits in the afternoon. If we're lucky, into I don't think we're going to hit the 30s out there like it shows. So I think it'll be probably into the 20s statewide. And then on Sunday, kind of the same idea. Cold start to the day, and then a little bit milder in the afternoon. But again, I have to warn you, the models have been flip-flopping all over the place. So don't expect this much of a warm-up. I just don't see it. But I am showing it to you just to show you how much variability there is in the model data from run to run, day to day as we talk. Now, take a look at the overall pattern. We'll look for the big jet stream pattern change. Where's our big storm system coming? Well, here's one that zips right through the middle part of the plains. So it does include us here. It's a Sunday night and a Monday morning. So that's our first little round of some light rain and snow. That will move on through, and then we're going to see this little big guy right here come in. Whoa, you see all that color, all that lift in the atmosphere? Now, we talked before, very important in the position of where this comes in at. So we'll do it again for you. So those folks that missed this discussion last time, it was really good when you missed out. But bottom line is, this track is bringing it right here across Oklahoma and then zipping on out. This is where the energy is. Just enough to give us some snow. Higher amounts in the east, less amounts to nothing, far west. Now, if it were to go a little bit more to the east, like some of the models had and still do at times, we get nothing, all right? If it comes more like this, then we got something to talk about. A pretty significant winter storm potential. So you got to be really careful as to where this little item falls into place. And still this far out, it's still going to be a little murky, but I'm starting to see some trends of it shifting back to the west. And you're like, what? Yeah, that means we might have actually something a little bit more significant to talk about than flurries. All right, so that little system moves on by, and then we're in a kind of a northwesterly flow aloft. These little disturbances do swing by. Sometimes they can generate some cloud cover or some flurries or some light dusting of snow, so keep that in mind extended. And then it's just a chaotic pattern after that, so really no point on going forward. So here's a look at the UK Met. I mentioned the UK Met, I think, a couple of days ago. I thought I saw a trend of this low that it has right here, the center of it, kind of backing away. I think other models had it here. This guy kind of had it here at the onset, but I thought, what, it's pretty far west, which means when it finally sets up shop, it may not be over here. So it turns out it's right about in the middle. All right, but what happens is, in this particular case, is the further this west is, the low, look how this line of energy is now in this viewpoint. Remember, a minute ago, we looked at the American model, and it was like this. Huge difference, folks. This is a big game changer. Comes out here to the west, and it puts us in smack dab in the middle of some fun stuff around here. Now, it's not UK Met is let's say the most bolden at this point in time, but also most consistent. The Canadian models actually start to shift west to try to match it, not quite to that point yet, but it's getting there. The German model, the Icon model, take a look at what it did. So let's put this in motion here. You see how this little thing zips through? You see that right there? That's a pretty close agreement with the UK Met. Little subtle differences, but the point is made. That's a much further westward track with better influence here across Oklahoma. So I'm starting to get a little more excited. This is the reason why I'm talking to you about this, because as long as this trend continues, and if I can see some other models kind of join in, man, I'm all for it. I'm throwing it in there for some significant snow. All right, so here's a look at the overall nationwide. Again, if you're traveling, for any trouble spots, we have the snow breakout here for Sunday night and Monday morning across Kansas, parts of Oklahoma, northeast, east, Arkansas, and Missouri. So not again much here for Oklahoma. Better amounts in Arkansas. Missouri and Kansas with that little system that moves on by. Rain in Texas, which they desperately need. All right, then after that, let's see, the next big precipitation maker will be in the Pacific Northwest on Wednesday for traveling out there. Otherwise, the big mess of snow encompassing the big Arctic intrusion is working its way into the northern Rockies and into the northern plains. So again, it'll be windy, blowing snow, probably some whiteout conditions on Wednesday up into that area of the country. So just kind of keep that in mind if you're doing some traveling. As we head on into Thursday, though, this is the big change for us. This big high right here. Here's the center of the high is starting to build in. Isobars packing nice and tight in this area with our cold front coming through at this point in time across the southern plains and bringing with it the snow. So that's some good news there if you like a big change in the weather. Let's see, that moves off and provides quite a bit of snow for the Midwest, Great Lakes, even parts of the Deep South for Thursday night and Friday. That system really wraps up for a pretty strong nor'easter for Friday. I mean, this is a pretty brutal pattern right here. My goodness, that's a nasty storm. So usually in the world of weather for the news outlets, they always go nuts over the storms for the Northeast. Why? I don't know. There's just a love affair of these New England type storms, and it's going to be an ugly one. But so you'll hear about that one probably for days. All right, after that, really no point on going on because there'll be continuous changes. I just want to get you through Christmas and a little bit after. Okay, so here's a close-up view of Oklahoma. So here's those light showers bubbling up here. There's midnight Monday. There's a little bit of blue showing a little bit of a rain-snow mixture here for northern and eastern Oklahoma. So guys up there, again, don't be surprised. See some of that heavier snow across Kansas, Missouri as this thing rolls out. So Monday in Tulsa, so let's see. I guess technically you could probably have a little dusting of snow on the ground, at that point in time. Over the weekend, we'll have a better idea on actual snow amounts, just to see if anything actually materializes from that. And then we'll focus on, let's go into Thursday. So here's Thursday. There's that snow moving through the state from northwest to southeast. So it's a kind of a quick moving situation. There's about a 12-hour window of some activity. And it probably won't be all snow. A lot of times you get the Arctic fronts in here. You get a little thin line of some freezing precipitation, because that rain kind of changes over to freezing rain and sleet real quick. So that's something we'll have to watch for. The icon model, if I go back to it, actually hinted at that. So let me go back right here. Okay, so by the way, the icon model I want to show you. Look how you get... So you get this little light green stuff. That's along the leading edge of the front. And this front, for the icon model, this is Wednesday afternoon, rather. So the icon model actually has the front moving through Oklahoma City and Tulsa and Ardmore by Wednesday evening at 6 o'clock. That's a full 12 hours earlier than the American model we just looked at. So I like the icon model for timing of the Arctic front rather than I do the American for the reasons I have been mentioning the last couple of days. But you will notice, though, because the pattern change, remember I told you it's kind of similar to the UK Met aloft? Look what it's doing here as far as snow goes. I mean, it is breaking out some seriously heavy snow here across Oklahoma briefly in a little downburst. Now, we can get an idea of what it kind of thinks those snowfall amounts will be if it's even done and the model hasn't finished running. Oh, it's too bad. I was really hoping for the full picture. It's just not going to be in yet. That's too bad. All right. But, it's all fantasy now anyway, this far out when you're talking about snowfall totals. But to give you an idea, the American model, which has, again, just to the east and not as much of a signal as that icon model did, it still produced some decent snows. I mean, this is 3 inches of snow here in Tulsa. These little purple areas up around 5 to 6 inches on the eastern counties of Oklahoma. And of course, you expand this out, that's more snow for Arkansas, Missouri, etc. Now, if you do look at the European model, which I got to tell you, has been really disappointing me lately in this forecast event. I've not been happy with this performance. It still, though, at least continues to show some weak indication of some snow mix. And this is Oklahoma City, by the way, as a pinpoint spot. But for that Monday morning Sunday night, Monday morning deal. In other words, a few flakes of snow mixed in with some rain is still the signal for that. So again, I'll still watch that for a little sleeper event that takes many people off guard, because sometimes that can happen. Temperatures have to be cold enough, though. So I'll look at that carefully over the weekend. Meanwhile, here comes that 22nd deal. Here's another signal for Christmas Eve day. Not a whole lot of a signal on Christmas Day itself. There's a couple in here, and there's a couple after. So it's a lot of chaos, a lot of noise. Point being is that even though the model hasn't been doing very well, it's still hinting some of its members like, hey, wait a minute, we might get some snow in Oklahoma, whereas the other models are already trending that direction. So we'll see what happens. As far as temperatures going for today, again, we mentioned a cold, chilly day. Even though we may hit 43, it certainly won't feel like it. Same thing over the weekend, the 40s and 20s for overnight lows. All right, so then there's going to be some error here. So we could easily see teens, upper teens for lows. Tuesday and Wednesday, depending on that first front that comes in. Again, models usually have a tough time with these shallow Arctic air masses, and usually don't warm up as much as they like. So these numbers continue to fluctuate, if you've noticed, day in and day out. I've shown you on these model blends. Bottom line is, it's just going to be cold, and some days we're not going to get above freezing. And the best odds of not getting above freezing at all will be Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and maybe even Christmas Day, especially if we get some snow around here. But needless to say, overnight lows will at least minimal be in the teens. My guess is there's going to be a couple of lows in here of nights we're probably going to get maybe Friday, possibly Saturday. We're going to see at least some single digits across central Oklahoma. So don't get too excited about some of the numbers on here. It's funny. You know, in the meteorology world, we learn this trick when we're in school. The models just don't handle cold air very well. And you would think in 20 more years, let's see, I was at A&M in 96 is when I graduated. So you figured 20, 25 years of more tweaking and research that we'd be able to get these models better. We just can't. There's limitations in weather, I'm telling you. You know, it's amazing how good of a job we can do given a lot of limitations that we know are out there. So you have to know the biases, you have to make assumptions, educated guesses, use some history, you know, use some experience, and go from there. But a lot of us is, you know, this far out, you know, it's a numbers game of just guessing. But you do know the overall pattern, you know, is cold, and so you know when you look upstream, you know, you're starting out with a temperature of minus 60. You know, you can only moderate that minus 60 so much by the time it gets here. So that's the other thing is you have to slowly moderate that Arctic air, and it doesn't like to moderate much. So there's always potential for some real bottoming out numbers that just surprise everybody. So again, don't be surprised with that. And don't be surprised if we get a little bit of a snowstorm in here for right before Christmas. And even before, I've seen some signals off and on of some flurries that kind of continue through the weekend. So Christmas Eve day and Christmas Day itself. It's too chaotic right now to try to narrow down specifics on that. Just to let you know that's the broad brush stroke, if you will, as to what's out there. All right, well, that is it for me. I can get out of here. Appreciate you guys watching. Hope that you enjoy the rest of your Friday afternoon. Stay warm and have a great weekend, and make sure you get your plans together for that frigid cold, you know, for all the stuff that can be affected from pipes bursting, both in your house and, you know, outside your home, you know, your car, all that kind of stuff. Get stuff runnerized for the dogs, for the kids. Make sure you get all their stuff out. You know what to do. It ain't our first rodeo. All right, we'll talk again soon. You guys have a great day. Take care.